Well, in our last hour of News Nation Prime, we spoke to senior White House advisor Cedric Richmond on the Biden administration's agenda when it comes to COVID-19 and that massive relief bill. But we also had the chance to speak with him about states easing COVID restrictions, specifically Texas and Mississippi, reopening at 100%. Strong words your boss, the president, had today in terms of what we're seeing in Texas and Mississippi and plans to fully reopen those states as we still battle COVID-19. Neanderthal thinking is the phrase that's now making headlines today. Can you elaborate more on what the president meant by that and why you think these states are taking these actions that are in direct contradiction to what medical professionals are saying?
Look, the president's words speak for themselves, but I will tell you this, that it's just a shared frustration. I mean, we are working our tails off. When we came in the White House, they were distributing 8.6 million vaccines a week. We're now have it up to almost 18 million. We just did a historic deal between Merck and Johnson & Johnson and the U.S. government so that we could get 200 million vaccines 2 months earlier so that we could get to vaccinating every American citizen who wants a vaccination. Will have a shot for them by 2 months earlier than we did before. So we are working hard. And on Inauguration Day, the president said that he was going to ask and challenge Americans to wear masks for 100 days. And since we've been in office, the number of COVID deaths, infections are starting to go down. We see light at the end of the tunnel. But this is only day 42. And to have two governors completely open up their state, remove the mask mandate after 42 days, we ask for 100. We know what beating COVID looks like. And to the extent that people are doing things that are not helpful, it's very frustrating. This White House spends an enormous amount of time every day, all day, to make sure that we're beating COVID-19 and protecting families. And we just think that that is the absolute wrong way to go at the wrong time. And I think that that's why his word choice, what it was.
And obviously there was some earlier news today from the state of Arizona, the governor there signing an executive order to require school systems to come back to in-person learning soon too. In other words, you're now seeing this wave of states that are saying, look, we want to fully reopen. So if Texas and Mississippi represent just the beginning of this wave, how does the White House respond to that if they're going to do this in direct defiance of what the White House and medical leaders are asking for? How do you deal with that?
Well, the good thing is the American people agree with us and they understand what we're asking them. And corporate America understands what we're asking. So that's why you see companies and restaurant chains and others, even grocery stores, saying that we're not going to remove our mask mandate. We're going to keep socially distanced in our restaurants and in our stores and in our businesses. So the American people understand that this is a shared sacrifice, that over 500,000 Americans have died because of this. And we're going to get past it, but we're going to do it together and we're going to follow the president's lead. So even if the governors want to play politics, I think the American people are seeing right through it. And as far as schools, we want schools open. That's why you see us dedicating vaccines to teachers. That's why you see us putting money in the ARP to make sure schools can open up. And we made a pledge that we wanted half of the schools open by the time we reached 100 days in office, and we think we're going to be there.
Gotcha. Let me ask you two more things that have been in the headlines right now before I let you go. Obviously, Governor Cuomo in New York getting a lot of headlines for his behavior, plus that nursing home scandal as well. I know the White House is walking a tight line there in terms of what to say and what to call for. Do you believe the governor's apology, as he expressed today, was enough? And what about the calls for him to step down, especially in light of how Democrats have responded to past scandals, most notably Senator Franken, when he was quickly given the boot, but we're seeing a much slower walk when it comes to Mr. Cuomo?
Look, I'll just have to be honest with you. I just haven't paid that much attention to it today. I mean, when we come in here, it's all hands on deck on COVID and other things. And I think that there's genuine concern. I think the president has always been clear that everyone should be heard and taken seriously. And I think that should happen. And from what I hear, that's taking place. And in fact, there's an independent investigation. And I think it should go forward. And then we'll see what happens from there. But the important part is making sure that every allegation is taken credibly and that people listen and people hear the victims.
people are just trying to reconcile what's going on with and to be clear, there are Republican sexual misconduct scandals currently going on as well. Cuomo's grabbing the most oxygen in the room, but people go back to that moment with President Biden where he said, you know, if there's any disrespect, I will fire you on the spot, taking a very hard line on that issue. So people are trying to square that stance with the let's wait and see where the investigation goes stance that we're hearing now. Is there any daylight between those two positions?
No, and I think he said it very clearly on that day when he was swearing all of us in. He said, for anyone who works in this White House and who works for me, I won't tolerate certain things. And I think that he is very consistent with that, especially if the facts come out that it happened. And I think that the difference here is that the allegations, the alleged victims should be heard. They should be taken seriously, and the investigation should proceed. And if the facts bear that out, then I think you come into what the president has said.